Back at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, about 15-20 seconds until cars roll for qualifying, and we have 10 cars still back here in the garage area trying to get through inspection. 4 playoff teams, including that of Jimmy Johnson's team, trying to get through inspection here. Again, this is the backup for Jimmy Johnson. We saw the wreck a moment ago, so we're starting to see a theme here with all these cars weekly back here in inspection when qualifying starts to roll. But Steve, we've seen one specific issue here with the templates this weekend. Ryan Newman's team just had to reshape the right rear of the race car. Teams trying to find all the side force they can to make up for that low downforce. But again, 4 playoff teams still back here in the garage area just trying to make it through inspection.
And, it seems to be a little more prevalent at the short tracks that inspection takes a while. And I don't think it's because of template issues as much as I think cars are getting in line later, Jeff, because after you run all of those laps on the brakes and other components, there's some fresh components I think you want to put on. But listen, I actually applaud NASCAR that they stand with their times. They don't allow extra time. And you see 19 minutes. I would assume those cars are going to make it through inspection, but we're just going to have to see.
There's still quite a bit of action taking place inside the garage as the clock has started on round 1 of 3. It's 20 minutes, and the top 24 advance into round 2.
Casey Kane, you can see how free he was trying to get the car to hook up. He's going to have to make 2 laps here. That first lap's not going to do it.
Is the second lap normally faster?
Well, you would think so here at Loudon. It likes heat in the tires. The car drives better the second lap than the first lap normally. You'd like to be able to do it on 1 lap, but it's very difficult. Casey Kane had a really good practice, was P3 in practice. So see that lap right there was a 29.23. That's almost a second off of what he was able to run in practice. So without a doubt, going to have to run a second lap.
Kelly.
And Rick, we've heard some other teams talking about going out and doing whether it's a warm-up lap or getting out there so they can just put some heat. As you see Kurt Busch there in the 41, really this is just a lap to get some heat into his brakes and tires, I would assume. I heard Austin Dillon in the 3 car having a discussion with his crew chief, Justin Alexander, whether or not they should run a warm-up lap. He kind of left it up to Austin, but he said, just so you know, I think last time we were here, 7 out of the top 10 drivers did not do a warm-up lap. So they're still discussing whether or not Austin will do a warm-up lap before he makes his actual qualifying run.
And we see Kurt Busch just coming back in, so he didn't actually take a lap for time. Let's listen into the 42 radio and hear what they have to say.
We are waiting, and we're going to let the first wave go, and we're going to see what people run and where they're running, and then we're going to get in line, and we're going to lay a lap down. Yeah, we're going to try to do it in 1 here. 10-4.
So, Rick, I don't think waiting is a big surprise. We see that a lot, that you kind of wait to see what kind of speed the track has in it. But what I think they said that really keyed off to me is kind of back to what Kelly was saying. We're going to do it in 1 lap. That's their goal. Jeff mentioned it a minute ago with Casey Kane, who had to run 2 laps. If you have a very good car, a car that you think can contend for the final round, perhaps contend for the pole, doing it in just 1 lap, making the top 24, remember that's the goal of this round, just top 24, save a little bit of tire life to see if you have better tires later in qualifying.
But to show you how difficult that is, Casey Kane picked up about 7/10 from his first to his second lap. So, you have to have a car that's set up. You have to have air pressure. You have to have setup. You have to have a strategy of trying to make it 1 lap.
And once again, Trevor Bayne, much like Casey Kane, lap 1, well off the pace. You just see the car up on top of the racetrack, slipping, sliding, not being locked down, just not getting the traction that it needs. This lap will be better, I would assume.
It's funny, but Dale Jarrett was talking with the Xfinity Series coming to us. He said, tough qualifying in Loudon, because he knows that this is very difficult. It's so hard to get qualified here. Cars just don't make grip.
But, Jeff, I actually think, and this is going to sound silly, that multiple round qualifying has made qualifying here easier.
Sure.
Because before, right, you go out there and you don't get heat in your tires on the first lap and you wiggle the second lap and you're done. You come to pit road, not another shot, sorry. Those laps stunk and you're going to qualify 30th.
That's right.
Here, you can at least kind of go out and do it again.
And guys, listen to Jamie McMurray inside the car. He's obviously watching on a screen, and he said, hey, I can just tell everybody's having a tough time getting going on this first lap. One thing to note, Steve, the sun kind of came out right before qualifying. Kind of got warm. Now it's kind of cooled down a little bit, but it's certainly a good 10, 12 degrees warmer than it was during practice this morning when it was quite chilly.
The left side of your screen, you see next to Casey Kane's name, the number 16, that green box, 16. He's one of the 16 playoff drivers that are involved in the race for the championship. And so Casey Kane will have, as well as all the other playoff drivers, will have the 16 beside their names. never so very good in the K&N Pro Series. He's had great success there. Now trying his hand. Brett Moffitt from Grimes, Iowa. He's 25 years old. Trying his hand at the Monster Energy Cup Series here in Loudon.
There you go, Ricky Snell Jr. We talked about, we came on about this needing to be a good qualifying effort. They struggled in practice, so they've made some changes. They've tried to make their car better. Let's see if they're able to do it. Well, he's not going to try. That was just one of those laps, trying to get heat in the tires, heat in the brakes. Go back out again a little bit later.
A little over 5 minutes gone in this first round, and still quite a few cars trying to make their way out of inspection and onto pit road. Included in those that I can see right now, Ryan Newman and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, as well as the 24 of Chase Elliott, just coming off of the inspection, the LIS. So a lot of the playoff drivers still trying to get through inspection.
Steve, this problem had gotten better. We weren't having this many cars, and you think it has more to do with the short track than people trying to push the limit?
Well, I do think that the 24 is in a backup, so that probably put them against the clock, the 48 as well, but that's not an issue unless other cars go around, and to have the number that we've seen, other cars have absolutely had to go around. I mean, I think it has to be a culmination of things, but I don't think it's all short track. I think it's fair to say that what we say at the top of the show, Rick, this might not be the cut race, but you can make mistakes here at New Hampshire that will put you in a must-win situation. These teams are trying to avoid that, and to do that, they're taking everything. Remember, if it takes you 2 times through, but you still get a chance to qualify, there's really no harm to that. You just have to be able to stomach the fact that you may not make it out.
Another one of the playoff drivers in Austin Dillon. And Dillon right now in the red compared to Casey Kane. Again, the goal in this round, make it into the top 24 to advance into round 2. And with that, we saw the 24 of Chase Elliott. He was putting on his Hans device, his helmet, getting ready to climb into that car. Well, that's a backup car that has not run a lap at this racetrack. And so now Chase Elliott is going to be asked to get behind the wheel, go out on the track, and be one of the fastest 24 cars at Loudon without ever turning a lap in that car.
So how does he do that, Jeff? I mean, in your career, you've had to unload backup cars. What is the goal for the 24 car? Do you change your goals if you're in a backup car?
Well, I think this multi-round situation, like you talked about, gives you an opportunity for 2 or 3 tries. So you go into it saying, hey, look, we have to evaluate where we are. We don't know. He's got to go drive the car as hard as he can drive it, see what it is, then have a chance to come back and make an adjustment and go make a second run. And at this racetrack, making that second run is not a huge deficit. So I'm not sure what the goal would be. I think the initial goal would be, let's go assess the car. Let's go run as hard as you can, see what we have, and then make the changes that we hopefully can make to make the car better. You just don't know what you have till you drive it.
Kozlowski goes to 5th quickest on his first lap at a 28.90. 28.58 is the fastest lap that has been turned. That was Casey Kane, and he was 3rd quickest in practice earlier, so not a surprise that we see Casey Kane up there running that number.
And remember, that's big news out of the 5 this week. Keith Ronda is no longer the crew chief on top of the pit box for Casey Kane. Darian Grubb has assumed this position in what seems to be an interim role. We'll have to find out at the end of the year what their decision is as far as crew chief for the 5 car, but they needed to evaluate the performance of this race car, so a crew chief change was made.
Kevin Harvick on the right side of the screen, very close to the lap that Casey Kane had run.
So now what do? Do you keep running? Do you try to save a lap on the tires? You ran a decent speed, but is it good enough? You'd prefer not to, but I don't think that's a fast enough speed to sit on the time. I think if you're the 4 car at Harvick, you have to run another lap.
I think if you're going to have to sit on the time, you're going to have to run much later in this session where that is a little clearer what the goal is with just under 11 minutes left and only 12 cars taking time.
Here you go. Harvick's heading in the right direction. Looks like he's going to have a shot at being a fast time right here. Yep, he won at a 55 as opposed to Kane's 58.
55, it's P1.
One of the other things that's different is the fact that it is sunny right now. We didn't see the sun in the first practice. It was overcast the entire time, quite a bit cooler. And so now the sun beating down on this racetrack.
So I'm going to say something that I normally wouldn't say. I think that's a good thing. I think if you're trying to run it in one lap, I think that heat in the racetrack can actually help you because it helps the tires fire off a little bit quicker. Normally I wouldn't say that, but here I would.
So it's funny you say that. I was thinking back to times I've been up here in, say, early April, doing tire testing when it's 40 degrees. It's impossible. You cannot get up to speed for 8 or 10 laps. It is like being on ice because it's too cool. So I didn't know what that threshold was, but now I don't feel like I'm so crazy. You kind of got there before me.
Well, we might just be crazy together. Don't discount that. We've heard that a few times, I think.
I'll let you two be crazy together. Eric Jones on the left and Paul Menard on the right.
Rick, it was so much fun. Eric Jones joined us at the Hall of Fame this week, Wednesday, for NASCAR America. He and Dale Jarrett and I just had a conversation about his rookie season, and it was remarkable to hear him explain how difficult Sundays are. Has so much success in the trucks, so much in Xfinity cars, and he said, listen, you can't put into words. Everything I have to do on Sundays is more difficult. The Cup Series is unreal.
Very busy for the Cup drivers. Let's go to Marty.
Rick, you can see just over 9 minutes left here in this first round. Jimmy Johnson's car, the last playoff car to get through inspection, is finally clear of inspection. Even once they clear the LIS machine, the final station of inspection, takes about 3 or 4 minutes. Get the air pressure set, get the team where they want with the chassis and everything set up the way they want to. So they're doing all that now. And they're right in front of them is Ryan Newman as well. Joey Logano is still on the LIS system. So I guess Steve and Jeff, I want to ask you, one, Jeff, from a driver's standpoint, you get nervous back here because you've literally got to leave from here, maybe go qualify. But B, Steve, time's running out. Do you get worried about that from a team standpoint as you see Jimmy Johnson climbing in the car, putting on his Hans right now?
Well, I think you have to get worried from a team standpoint that you're not going to make a lap, but these crew chiefs have learned to, I'll call it, play this game or challenge the inspection, take the car to the limit. And that is an uncomfortable situation for these crew chiefs to be in, but that's what you have to do to try to compete. So it's not comforting. From a race car driver, though, you have to kind of jump in, Jeff, and do it cold turkey.
Yeah, you do. And these drivers are more accustomed to it than I was because the inspection process is tougher. But Kyle Larson, P1 on the board with 1 lap. He went the fastest, so he's the only guy in the top 6 right now to run 1 lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was 7th fastest in 1 lap. He ran the 2nd lap, and now he went to 2nd.
But I think that's a missed opportunity for the 88. I think they were good enough on their first lap. They didn't need to run a 2nd lap. Now, they do understand how their car drives on the 2nd lap, but it's a lap on those tires, Rick, that I'm not sure they needed in round 2.
And the drivers looking at big picture. Those involved in the playoffs trying to have the very best starting position they can have and the best pit stall that they can possibly get as well, because the way the stages lay out, they won't need to come to pit road until the end of stage 1 and the end of stage 2. So those things are very important as far as where you start this race if a caution doesn't come out, as well as where you pit.
And Rick, this pit road can be very tricky. The strategies here vary. We see 2 tires, left sides and or right sides. We even see gas only on these short tracks, Jeff. So having a clear in and out sometimes can be the difference between keeping the fenders on the car or not.
That's right. You mentioned a missed opportunity for the 88 car. Well, Martin Truex Jr. and his team, they decided to jump on that opportunity. They ran 1 lap, 9th fastest, and stopped. Did not run that 2nd lap. They believe that was quick enough to get them in. Be interesting to see where they end up if they do make round 2.
Mick Murray, though, taking the opposite approach. You see him well in the green. He's going to go up and join his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate on the right hand of the right side of your screen. Murray, though, taking the opposite approach. You see him well in the green. He's going to go up and join his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate on the right hand of the right side of your screen. Mick Murray, though, taking the opposite approach. You see him well in the green. He's going to go up and join his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate on the right hand of the right side of your screen. Murray, though, taking the opposite approach. You see him well in the green. He's going to go up and join his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate on the right hand of your, or excuse me, the right side of your screen.
Cars haven't. Now 3 cars have not taken time. One of those, Joey Logano, won't take time because they're still in the garage. Time will run out before they're able to get out onto the track. So 2 more cars still have to take time in Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth.
If this lap continues the way it is right now, Jimmy Johnson is going to safely get himself into round 2. He's going to put Chase Elliott, his teammate, on the bubble.
Landon Castle also trending in the green. He's going to try to eliminate Chase Elliott from the top 24. Jimmy Johnson, I would say it's good enough. It's the fastest car here so far. But now I like the patience of Kyle Busch, but the risk with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left is you're sharing the track with other race cars. If someone cuts you off, blocks you, or perhaps spins, and the yellow comes out, you know, this is it. You've heated your tires up. You might not get another chance, so there's a risk to everything.
Matt Kenseth and his team using the same strategy. Wait as long as you can. We saw this backfire on the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. and his team last year at Watkins Glen. They waited and waited and waited, and they got blocked. Never got back on the racetrack. Didn't advance out of round 1.
Kenseth and Busch, the last 2 to take time, and Kenseth trending well into the green, as is Kyle Busch. Kenseth 15th, Kyle Busch top of the chart.
By a lot.
Wow. 0.2 of a second faster than Jimmy Johnson on his second lap for Kyle Busch. And a minute and a half, just over 90 seconds remaining in round 1 of qualifying. So Chase Elliott has fallen below the cut line, as has Stenhouse Jr. Can they get back out, run another lap, and potentially get into the top 24?
You see Stenhouse Jr. right here trying to come up and complete his lap. He's just behind Stenhouse Jr. is at 13 of Ty Dillon. He was trending in the green. It went away in 3 and 4. You see how close all the different cars are on the left side of your screen. Minus meaning that their lap time is quicker than the cut line. It's lower. That's a good thing. Plus means it's above. But you look at Danica Patrick at only 5 thousandths out. Matt DiBenedetto in by 5 thousandths. Stenhouse Jr., though, trying to upset that parade.
Oh, he's so good going into turn 3.
Into the green. Can he hang on? He does. 23rd quickest. Under 40 seconds now.
Tying Daniel Suarez for 24th.
They keep him on the racetrack, going to run a second lap.
And now, Chase Elliott. This lap will count once he gets to the start-finish line. If he can get there before the clock runs out, the next lap would count. And Chase Elliott trending in the green, so this lap may get him in. It does, all the way up to 18th. He can shut it down now.
Think about where Daniel Suarez is currently below the cut line, matching the lap time of the 17, who's above the cut line, but the tiebreaker is points, Rick. It's points. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is ahead of Daniel Suarez in points, so Stenhouse Jr. advances, Daniel Suarez doesn't, and you talk about close. They ran the same time to the 1,000.
So think about that. A 1 mile racetrack, 2 cars prepared completely differently, compared by 2 different teams, 2 different manufacturers, 2 different engine programs, 2 different drivers, crew chiefs, and they run the exact same speed. That's incredible to me. It's incredible to me that 2 different teams, completely different looks, can run the exact same speed.
Let me throw this at you as far as crazy things happening. The gap between first and second is greater than the gap between second and 20th. That's how good of a lap Kyle Busch just turned.
We saw this last week, too,
Yes,
didn't
we did.
I was getting ready to tell you, you know that cool stat I had last week that had been since 2009 since someone had that big a margin? Well, the stat this week is has been since last week since somebody had that big a margin.
And that is the end of round 1. The top 24 will advance to round 2. We'll be back.
running the exact same time as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ran. And as we look further through, you'll notice that Joey Logano did not go out and take a lap, was not able to get through tech inspection prior to that qualifying ending. Let's go to Marty.
What a frustrating way for Daniel Suarez to go out. Same exact speed as Stenhouse, but aren't able to advance because of owner's points. So you ever see anything like that?
No, actually I didn't know that until right now. I'm watching to the screen. But that's not a bad point. I mean, we had plenty of speed and we're just trying to take care of the tires on the car, and we had the speed to go way faster than that, and we just didn't do it because we didn't thought that we had to. So that's the bad part for us. We had plenty of speed on the car. We just didn't do a good job.
So you're saying you're being too cautious then?
As a team, I mean, we were planning to do 3 laps, and we ended up doing 2 laps because we thought we were going to be fine. And then at the end, we were just waiting, and we just didn't do a good job.
And we talked about so many of these teams trying to conserve tire wear, saving that for round 2. Maybe Daniel Suarez and the 19 went a little too far with that. Round 2 coming up from New Hampshire right after this.
All rise for Premier League mornings. Liverpool heads to the KP for a clash. Leicester City, that's tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Morning coverage actually begins at 7 a.m. Eastern on NBC SM. The second round about to get underway, and quite a bit quicker. This one will be just 10 minutes for the 24 drivers to find out who can make it into the top 12.
Well, all the playoff guys, they advanced to round 2 rather.
All right, that's mission accomplished, right? We said at the top of the show last week, this car right here, I was hard on Casey Kane. They didn't do that. They didn't move forward, and I think that just put them, the step in the wrong direction to start the race. Now they've come back this week much quicker. They were solidly up inside the top 12. Now can they do that again and advance to the third round?
How about Darian Grubb, crew chief for the 5 this week? Can we give him any credit for the improved performance of the 5 car?
I think Jeff said it the best. When there's change at the crew chief level, I think for some reason it instantly sparks something because the change was obviously needed. Hendrick Motorsports did it for whatever their reasons. The interesting thing will be in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whether the improvement is still there. But without a doubt, Darian has to be given some credit. He's the crew chief of this race car that is currently showing decent speed.
In practice earlier, 3rd quickest. We'll see how they do in round 2 of qualifying. This is the first lap turn And Casey Kane goes 28:32, which is the fastest lap that's been turned today.
28:32, that's good.
So we told him to shut it down. Don't run a second lap. I don't know how you know that just yet.
Darian, you mentioned Darian Grubble. He's making decisions quick. We're going, all right, that's it. And sometimes that's what you need in a team like the 5 that just hasn't had a lot going right. Sometimes fresh energy with confidence. You know what? Even if the team doesn't have any confidence, I'm going to show some confidence.
Austin Dillon's first lap, 28:77, 0.4 of a second off as we see the 88 almost get into the wall coming off of turn 4 on their second lap. Kevin Harvick also on the clock now.
So to your point, Jeff, I'm looking at the 88's lap time of a 56, and I have no idea if that's good or bad. I know that Casey Kane has it beat by a couple tenths, but how many cars can run that quick?
Normally 2/10 wouldn't be enough from the pole from P1 to P13. You think 2/10 would be a big split, especially when you have Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch that laid down great laps in that first session. They haven't gone yet. So you're 2/10 from Kane, not 2/10 from Kyle Busch.
Harvick on his lap goes 28:47.
And so this is a tough call at a 47. I think you have to run a second lap. They're going to run the second lap. I think if Harvick feels the car isn't as good, then he backs it off himself. He makes that decision. But it's hard to feel a half a tenth. It's very hard to feel that. And you're always optimistic. 3 and 4 is going to be better. We're going to roll through 3 and 4 better. And you just have to take your best guess at it. But you can see the second lap is going to be just a touch quicker.
28:42 for Kevin Harvick on his second lap. The last time that the Monster Energy Cup Series was here in Loudon, it was Denny Hamlin who ended up in victory lane.
And who did he beat? But Kyle Larson on the right side of your screen, the second place finisher.
I think it was important to note, too, as you're watching these guys go around the racetrack, the lines they're taking, look how high they are on corner entry. They're in the 3rd groove, all the way in the 3rd groove. Then right here, they turn left, exit much, much lower. That's all because of the PJ1 material that's put on the racetrack to create grip in multiple grooves. They're using all of that in that top lane on corner entry.
Sticky stuff put on the track, and Kyle Larson took advantage of it. He goes to the top of the board.
And he'll shut down. There's no reason to run another lap, so that's 1 lap for the 42 car in the first round, and now 1 lap in the second round. And Denny Hamlin says, that's a pretty good first lap, but I'm going to run 2 laps and run faster than you.
28:27 for Denny Hamlin.
And I don't think it's any surprise that you see on the left side of your screen, those playoff cars are starting to trend towards the top. It's go time, right? You've worked all year to make the playoffs. Well, you just don't want to miss that opportunity. You have to take advantage of it.
Eric Jones on the clock. See, he's also in the red, as is Kurt Busch. Eric Jones 0.2 of a second off of what Denny Hamlin has run.
I always wonder, Jeff, you see Eric Jones come by Denny Hamlin, which is way down on the apron, off the racing surface. But is that distracting for a race car driver just to have another car in the field of view?
Only if he's in your line and you're afraid he's going to be there when you get there. If you know he's out of the way, then no, it should not be a distraction at all. If it is a distraction, you're not focused as you should be. When you catch a guy and he's not where you expect him to be, that's a different story. But in that case, I don't think it would be.
That would make sense then, because my lack of focus, it was always a distraction from on top of the truck. Right?
All 16 drivers made it from round 1 to round 2. We know for a fact that all 16 drivers won't make it into round 3 because only 12 advance. And so we'll see if there will be some non-playoff drivers that will make it into the top 12.
And instantly you see Earnhardt Jr. down at 10th, Austin Dillon at 11th. I mean, I think it's pretty safe. I can't believe those 2 cars will stay currently in the top 12 as Ryan Blaney jumps right to the top of the board. How about Larson's teammate here, Jamie McMurray? He's currently 5th at a good lap, but he's going to run that second lap. As you mentioned, what's good enough at this point while he doesn't run any faster though in his second lap.
I tell you what, Keselowski's lap at a 28:54, that's 0.3 off, sitting in 9th position, still some good cars to go. I don't think that's going to be good enough.
Fastest 9 right now have all picked up on their speeds from round 1.
Chase guy down in 11th, Austin Dillon. That's certainly not going to be good enough to say to advance out of round 2.
Quite a few cars have not gone. They're just under 4 minutes now to go in this round 2.
Truex Jr., will he have enough confidence to think that 38 and P5 is going to be good enough? He would love to save the lap on his tires. We'll see the decision by Cole Pern. The decision is to quit. We see the 78 pulling off and slowing down.
I think if there's any team here they can gamble, that's the team. That team right there. They got to win. They know they're moving on. You know, why not? Run one lap, may pay off.
And how about Chase Elliott just above the cut line? Remember, that car had 0 laps. Wrecked his primary car in practice. He's come out in a backup car with no laps. Advanced out of the first round, currently above the cut line in the second round, trying to improve on that lap time here on his second lap.
See if he can move through. And Chase Elliott on his second lap does not go faster.
And I think it's going to be disappointing, but think about they unloaded a backup car without their car chief here, the guy who would be in charge of that race car mechanically, without their crew chief, Kenny Francis filling in for Alan Gustafson, with Alan on suspensions. The 18 is way up out of the groove.
So this is going to be a problem because now he's picked up all that debris.
Lap here, nice and smooth, clean them up good.
It's going to take this entire lap just to get the tires cleaned off, and they may not be cleaned off when he gets to turn 4. And when he comes right here, he's going to be taking essentially the green flag. This may take another lap to get going. You see, he was 1.8 seconds off. Be interesting to see how much grip these tires make right here. You can see he's way off of Blaney's speed.
Now the goal is to make it into the top 12. Kyle Busch was incredibly fast in round 1, but possibly a mistake on his first lap in round 2 could hurt him, but he responded quickly. 6th quickest for Kyle Busch with that.
You're okay. Good.
Little moments in every event. Him stepping up, getting the tires cleaned off, not letting that get him rattled, moved him in without having to run another lap. Had he run another lap, 3 laps on tires, no good. Being able to do that on the second lap with all that debris on the tires, that was a really, really good job. Even though it's only 6th fastest, that puts him in position to ultimately maybe sit on the pole or get a really good qualifying effort.
Well, I mentioned Chase Elliott in a backup car. Jimmy Johnson also in a backup car. While he did get some laps in practice, it was very few at the end of practice. Could not improve on his second lap, but currently in the 12th position. But we still have Allmendinger and Stenhouse who have yet to make a lap.
Yeah, and Austin Dillon, he's not going to be able to improve his position. You can see just before he went away from him, he was sideways off turn 4, just no grip at all. 17 car doing there. They spark a lot, don't they?
Yep. 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on his first lap, way off the pace. 28.93. See if he can pick it up on the second lap, and that's what this team needs to do after having a dismal performance at Chicagoland.
This car obviously not driving the way he wants it to. You can see he just didn't have the confidence in that car to let it leave turn 2 and kind of have its head and get momentum. He was way away from the wall, just didn't have confidence in it, way off on speed right here in 24th.
And Earnhardt Jr. and A.J. Allmendinger are both very close to the cut line. Just a few hundredths for both of these cars. Allmendinger trending in the green by a big margin. Won't be able to carry it off turn 4. We'll see if Earnhardt Jr. can have a more successful 3 and 4. I love the fact he's giving up time on entry. Does that mean he can carry time on exit? No. Normally when it doesn't trend green in, sometimes it'll trend green on exit, but not so for the 88.
Earnhardt Jr. 15th quickest with that lap, and the red and black flags being displayed. Round 2 has now been complete. Ryan Blaney was fastest. A couple of the playoff drivers struggling with their qualifying efforts, having to grab them. One was able to rebound and come off of that bad lap to get into the 3rd round.
NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Ford. Going further so you can. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Drivers that will not advance into the third round. And 5 of those drivers are playoff contenders that won't advance into round 3. Kelly.
Rick, I'm with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who earlier today in the media center talked about rebounding from Chicago, and you said it starts with qualifying. You got to do better at qualifying. I'm guessing this is not what you had in mind. What do you guys need to do to improve?
Yeah, definitely not. We don't normally qualify good here. We were hoping to qualify good here. The 5th, 3rd, 4th just hasn't been very good all day. We've fought the balance and the speed at the same time. It's nice if you could only fight one, but right now the problem is we're fighting both. So we're going to go to work, change everything we can, and hope tomorrow goes a little better.
All right, thank you, Ricky. They've got 2 practices tomorrow, Marty, to get things better.
Brad Keselowski, kind enough to sign some autographs from some fans, even take a selfie real quick. You had a chance to look at some dartfish. What did you notice about where you maybe missed it a little bit, Brad?
I missed it everywhere. I don't know. Couldn't find what we needed, but, we seem to race really well here. I don't know. I haven't really qualified all that well here lately, but it's been one of my best qualifying tracks, but not today.
They've also always had success here in the race as well. Brad Keselowski, though, will have to get a win from 13th. He expects to be in victory lane this weekend. Back for the final round. Who'll be on the pole for Sunday's race in New Hampshire? We'll find out in a moment.
Casey Kane qualified 5th here in the spring also, so this has been a good racetrack for Casey Kane and this team.
Getting up to speed, will take the green flag.
So let's watch and see. You can pretty much see if the first lap's going to be good enough. Saw his hand moving in there. Back of the car looked pretty secure right there. So the front of the car spark as he ran through the bumps. Very bumpy getting into turn 3. Not quite as much rear grip on corner exit there as he had in 2.
28.43 first lap for Casey Kane. No reason to save anything now. Can he improve on his second lap?
It's going to be hard. I thought that was a decent looking lap. He's running right about the same speed. Second lap is not unusual to be quicker, but I thought that first lap was solid.
Well, Casey Kane was solid here in the first race, qualified in the top 5th position, so building on that again here.
Drifted out there coming out of turn 4. So the second lap for Casey Kane actually slows down almost 0.2 of a second.
Kevin Harvick was looking good and kind of lost it. They're off so currently fastest, but I just don't feel that a 40 is going to be enough. Although I'll admit my predictors went off a little bit the last couple weeks, but Jeff, I just think there are teams that are looking for more than a 40. There's Darian Grubb right there holding the metal clipboard.
So a run by Kevin Harvick of 28.40 and Casey Kane 28.43. Both of those were first laps. They went a second lap, but the second lap they actually slowed down. We'll see what Kyle Larson has as he moves out onto the track.
I like the strategy. You're just going ahead and laying this lap down. The track's not going to change in the next 2 minutes, so just go ahead and lay this lap down. The track's clean right now. You know, one of the issues also, the more cars on the racetrack, a bigger chance for cautions, those kind of things. So I think just rolling right now is right. And don't give the driver a lot of time to think about it. Just go do your deal. You know what I mean? The longer you sit down in the pit road, the thoughts start creeping in your mind, Rick, and they're normally not good.
I saw right there on the exit of 4 trying to turn down. It looked like he got a little free, but he still carries, man, a ton of speed into 1 and 2. Can he carry that speed off the corner? Oh, yes.
No side movement whatsoever in that 42 car. Lots of grip.
Great lap building for Kyle Larson. Can he keep it going?
We said we wanted to see this 42 be a superstar in the playoffs, Jeff. That was his key to a championship. Well, he's trying to start right here, qualifying in New Hampshire, 28.23.
Well, don't forget about Kyle Busch. Heading in the right direction off turn 4.
Kyle Busch had to fight to get into round 2 and move on. He has moved into round 3 and now is the fastest car, 28.20.
It's like a heavyweight battle, too. As he goes into the green, Larson trends in the green, Blaney trends in the green.
Larson a little bit slower on his second lap.
How about Hamlin? Entering turn 3. In good shape. Left the racetrack.
Really lose it. He loses a lot going through 3 and 4.
That's just not carrying too much speed in the entrance of 3. Just couldn't keep it in the groove. It's a fine line between trying too hard and not trying hard enough.
That lap was actually a little bit better for Denny Hamlin than his first lap, but still only 3rd quickest. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, the top 3. Kenza on his first lap, 7th quickest. Under 30 seconds to go now.
Eric Jones, 6th, the only guy in this round that's not in the playoffs. Look at that 20 car. It just makes me think that you're going to have to deal with him on Sunday. Remember how close he was to winning this race? A little poor pit strategy late in the race cost him.
Jamie McMurray has a really nice lap going as well.
And I guess I'm a little bit surprised. What about you guys that Martin Truex Jr. didn't turn a lap?
Well, he's out there right now, so this will be his lap.
This one right here.
This is his one and only. I'm surprised they didn't leave enough time for 2 laps.
1 lap for Martin Truex Jr., 5th. So pretty impressive lap, but you're right. Only had 1 shot. They went out so late that Martin Truex Jr. was able to only turn 1 lap. Jimmy Johnson's 1 lap. 28.85. His second lap was slower.
We mentioned Truex, but, you know, about 8 of the top 12 did go faster on their first lap. Still surprising, though, he only got 1 in.
And let's go to Marty.
Fist bumps all the way around. Kyle Busch now can smile after that harrowing lap. And did you know what you had to get in 3 and 4 after the 42 laid down the lap he laid down?
No, I didn't hear the time that the 42 had when I was rolling out or anything, so just went out there and gave it what she had, and didn't think I hit it very well, actually, and was going to run my second lap and go for a little bit more, but I slipped off a 2 really bad, so I just had to abort. It definitely wasn't going to be any faster. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. These guys have been amazing this year in qualifying on here on Fridays, and it'd certainly be nice to finish these things out in victory lane at the end of the weekend, but being able to have fast race cars and be able to show that week in and week out, and to have some poles to go with it here this year is pretty awesome. So we'll just keep working on it, keep fighting through these weekends, and see if we can't get to victory lane more often.
The final round certainly impressive, but I got to ask you about round 2. I mean, how did you get those tires cleaned off and get enough speed out of the car to be able to make it to this round?
I don't know, just do it. When that happened, I gave myself too much room on my left sides trying to keep them in the black on entry, and it was like half a car too wide to the right. I was nervous. I thought I was 48 and 24 in it there for a second, but just was able to hang on to it surprisingly, and was able to battle through on a backstretch and just ease her off into 3 and then build my lap back up, getting back to start finish line. So it all worked out, and again, guys gave me a great piece, so I knew we were going to have a shot for the pole, just wasn't sure if we could get it. And for as ugly as that session looked or felt from my vantage point, it certainly worked out.
Ugly or not, it winds up being the pole today for Kyle Busch here at New Hampshire, Kelly.
Which means we will have an all Kyle front row. You're looking at Kyle Larson, of course, just finishing his debrief with Chad Johnston. Sorry to interrupt you, Kyle. Kyle Busch called it ugly, but did you get the lap that you were looking for? Do you know where those 300ths could have been made up?
I felt like maybe I got in the corner a little hot and got myself a little bit too loose and to the brakes too hard. But I felt like overall my lap was pretty good. 18's been really fast recently, and especially in qualifying all year. So for us to be second to him is not bad. We had the pole here earlier in the year and got encumbered. But so yeah, to back it up with a front row start feels good. Nice pit stall selection. Hopefully we can just have another smooth day.
Nice sort of use of the word encumbered there. You also finished second here in the spring. Between that and winning at Richmond, how much confidence do you come to this racetrack with this weekend?
Yeah, typically, these short tracks, here, Richmond, Martinsville, I probably still struggle at, but Phoenix are typically my worst tracks, but for some reason this year I've been running really good at them, aside from Martinsville, but I felt like I still would have finished 11th there had I not blown up there at the end. But so yeah, it's kind of been a weird season for me. I've worked really hard to get better at this stuff, but I think it's taken up until this year. We've gotten our cars better, and I think the stuff that I've done, it's finally started to click, and we've been probably some of our strongest tracks been on these shorter flat tracks. So it's been fun, where typically I dread coming to these places.
All right, second place here in qualifying. Looks like that hard work has been paying off, Rick.
Absolutely. And so it will be an all Kyle front row. Kyle actually mentioned in his interview he thought he was going to 48 or 24 it, and he was referencing Jimmy Johnson and Chase Elliott. Both had hit the wall in practice earlier today. Kyle Busch, a week ago, almost 0.3 of a second on the field. This week, he wins the pole again. 29 1,000 separate he and Kyle Larson.